chilling, man. What's going on with you, man? How you been?
Yeah, I'm chilling, bro. Sorry about earlier, but
No. You good? You good? You good? Um, let's get it. First of all, I wanted to say, man, thank you for the pain, man. I'm really enjoying it. I appreciate it, and it's a work of art, man. I don't know how you did it, man, but it was. I feel honored to have it, so I appreciate that. That's one. Two. What are your thoughts about the brother P and B Rock getting killed at the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? What were your thoughts? Because I didn't know that who he was because I don't listen to his music. But what were your thoughts and what were you thinking when that started, to spiral when everybody started talking about
yeah, like just like yourself, man. I didn't hear about him. In all honesty, I didn't know about him. I didn't know about his music. I don't know about a lot of. I don't listen to a lot of today's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still stuck in my you know 90s and 2000s hip hop. So yeah, I don't really vibe with today's, but just hearing the situation of another black man killed in that fashion, it took me back to like a Nipsey Hussle type of thing, man. Now, another thing that I thought I definitely felt sad because it's like we lose another black man. Um, that could have helped contributed to our liberation. You know, could have is what I'm saying. But then I also seen it. At first, I began to think black on black violence. You know what I'm saying? Black on black death. That was my first thought. But then, as I thought back a little deeper, it took me back to Dr. Amos Wilson book in which he spoke about black on black violence. And it took me back to where he talked specifically in that book about how it's no such thing as black on black violence. And I agree with him. And he spoke about how there is a white on black violence and how black people operate in the interest of white folks. So it took me back to that. It also took me back to Carter G. Woodson's book. He talked about how in politics, specifically in politics, but he talked about it also in general, but in politics, how black people won't serve to the interest of the fellow black people because they're actually not black. They are black, but they're serving to the interests of white folks. So they're actually white on the inside, black on the outside. So they're not even a shell of themselves. They're a shell of someone else. So it took me back to those, man, and I said, dang, um, what happened to this brother was very unfortunate. I saw that they had some footage of the brother of the dude just laying there, in his blood, near a table and stuff. And I don't even know how people was able to videotape that, man. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I would say record it on their phone. That was, what I'm saying. But they had it, and it was very unfortunate, man. And I definitely read about how his I believe it was him or his girlfriend, but one of them posted a picture of him in that store, in that restaurant, that chicken and waffles place restaurant. So I'm thinking to myself, yo, it had to have been someone who was close near. You know what I'm saying? Because LA is big. So it had to have been someone that was close near, like, yo, 15 minutes away type close. It couldn't have been someone from that had been following, that had not really been following him and just stumbled upon him, and they're an hour away and they're going to drive an hour away to come and see him. Like he wasn't at the restaurant too long in between him coming into the store, ordering the food, sitting down, dining, and it was just wasn't too much long. You know what I'm saying? So I was just thinking to myself, like, man, you got some greasy brothers out there, man. You got some greasy brothers out there that don't care about our nation. That was my thoughts. I ain't gonna front, man. Like I do feel bad for him. I don't know him, but just hearing of another black man being killed, especially in that fashion, man, it's just crazy. Now I don't know. I really don't understand. I don't know how famous he was. I don't know how much fan club or fandom he had. But when you do have an influence, I don't I I don't think it's the posting of your pictures with your jewelry on with no security. Um, I don't think that should be. I don't think that's a good choice to make. I'm not saying that he brought his own death upon him. Even if he didn't have his jewelry on him, people sometimes, a lot of the times when you are in a spotlight, trouble comes to you. And the problem is that dudes served in the best interests of white folks, in which they got jealous and assassinated this brother. Plain and simple. And they wanted what he had. They couldn't get it, so they wanted to get it faster. Uh, Now I got more to say about that part, but that's it's very unfortunate, man. I felt bad for him. I felt for the brother. I felt for his family. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody to lose their family member in that fashion. That dream was crazy. That dream is crazy. Literally, I was just thinking like, damn, this dream just happened to Nipsey like a couple of years ago. Like, what's really good? You know what I'm saying? I think, but the only difference with Nipsey, that was, he's in his hometown and he was catering to his hometown. He was helping his hometown. So he was trying to make it work where he was at. As for this brother, I think he was from Philly. So he's coming from Philly. I don't know if he understood the culture of what happens out there in LA. And it's not just LA, it happens everywhere. He could have went to Chicago and got killed or got robbed. You know, it, it you just got to know how to move in certain areas. You got to know these areas. You can't think because you're kind of down to earth. People, you come into the hood, people going to show you love. Like, not everybody. This is not back in the days where you can be a DMX and walk into another person's hood and people still show you love because they understand your struggle. They understand you. They can relate to you no matter what you got. But if you going around, if you flaunting, because as soon as you take a picture with your jewelry on, these people take that as flaunting. So, you know what I'm saying? They do what they have to do to get what they want to get without doing it legally. So again, I feel for the brother, man, but that was my first thoughts on it when I heard about it.
Mm. Okay, now I'm glad. I'm glad that because I was on the same page. I never heard of them, but you are right, and I kind of spoke about that on the podcast I just did. Just LA street culture and the politics behind it, and I was kind of trying to tie the corporate plantation politics to the LA street politics and street politics in general because it's very true. I wouldn't go to New York or anywhere without vetting out where I'm going, and if I don't know nobody, I'm going to move accordingly. Now, my question to you is, do you think when we have access to other resources, but that most people don't, but we're humble, we have humility, and we want to be amongst our people, do you think that makes us uh, more of a target? Do you think that we don't have our thinking cap on? Because most black folk, like Nip, now I'm in my neighborhood, I love my people, and I'm trying to build up my people. So, if anything, I'm not going to get killed in my neighborhood. Do you think that that's a strike against our mentality because we have to be very cautious of people that don't have resources? What do you think about that?
It goes back to the greatest strength that black people have. Our greatest strength is our greatest weakness. Dr. John Henry Clark said this repeatedly. We have a naivety that folks just don't do mean things to other folks for no reason. We have our greatest strength as black people is that we have a kind heart. We have that naturally. We have to be. it has to be engraved. It has to be we have to be conditioned to really develop a jealousy, hateful heart, things of that sort. Like it has to be embedded into us. Um, our greatest strength again is our heart. We really care about people. We really care about our environment. We really want people to succeed. That turns out to be our greatest weakness. Because of that, we think again that, these folks, I can go out in my hood or I can go out in my state. I can go to a restaurant and nobody's going to bother me because I've done a lot of good and people understand me. It's been a while since anyone has ever tried to test me. As a matter of fact, nobody's tried to test me. So, and then I got dudes from my hood that lay hands on anyone who would try to test me. So I ain't really too much. I don't got to worry about that too much. And they don't understand that we living in a type of world now in which there's no nationhood amongst black people. Like as a whole, like people are waking up. You have black folks waking up. You have black folks who have already been awake. You have black folks who are stepping into their true abilities. But you have a lot more of these type of criminal dudes. Speaking of the guy who just shot and killed PMB in cold blood, like we have more of like those type of individuals. And again, we think that this can't happen to us because we good people and good people don't do mean things. This has happened to even the Ghanaians and the Nigerians, whole West Africa, even East Africa. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it, if they knew that prior to the European coming to them, that the Europeans had already sold their own children into slavery to the Arabs in the Children's Crusades. They had already enslaved their women. They tried chattel slavery over there in Europe. White folks just can't hold up. So they wanted the gold and they wanted the black gold. They wanted gold, yellow gold. They wanted black gold, black slaves. You know what I'm saying? So they understood this. They understood from looking at the maps from Mali and the Songhai Empire, and from looking at the maps that the Moors had from traveling the world. They understood that, there's black people everywhere according to these maps, according to this information, the books that we found in Timbuktu and everything, that contains the information of these blacks going around the world and seeing other black people that look just like them. It's other black people too. So there's black gold all around the world. We have to enslave the world though. So had we understood that the Europeans, when they were coming, that they were coming with a vengeance to heap violence upon us, then we would have understood and killed them the first time they landed on the seashore. We would have never allowed them to build any forefront, no fortress, no castle, no none of that. We would have killed them ASAP because we would have understood what they was about. But again, we had that naivety thinking, well, they're good people, we're good people, maybe we can work something out. And they let their guards down. The same thing happens in the hood. Now we have, black folks again, like I said earlier, operate in the interest of white folks. They don't even understand that they're doing it. Some of them understand and don't care. Some of them don't understand, and they will go out and kill you. And there's no people like that. They need to be put away under the jail, under the prison, under the penitentiary, because you just took away another member from our nation. You wiped out another generation. Like that man carried a generation in him. He carried history, DNA, historical history, and you wiped that away from us. No matter if if we agree with him or not, he probably had different views, but we wiped that. That was wiped away and taken from us. So his life taken short. I don't even think dude lived. I don't even think he was 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? So it's an issue. And as blacks, we let our guards down a lot. But you know what happens, Warren G? We let our guards down against the wrong people. What I love to see is that we keep our guards up. so that we'll always stay protected, just like boxing, just like fighting. You know what I'm saying? You need to always have your hands up, have your guards up. You never know when a punch is coming. You think that you can block one punch, but you don't know combination. You don't know what type of combinations this brother can throw. So just because we in our hood, or just because we are around other black folks, we got to be conscious. We got to be aware. We have to understand and not be coolies and think that well, I'm in my hood. Or I moved from my hood. I haven't lived here in 17 years, but I'm back here giving back to my community. Nobody will do nothing to me because I'm giving back to my community. Love will recognize love. Now we can't think that way. We have to really understand what the system of white supremacy has done. We really got to understand what it has done to us psychologically, what it's done to us mentally on the mental stage as well, what it's done to us on the physical stage and in the spiritual stage as well. You know, so I'm not sitting here and going to throw and say that it's white folks' fault that this murderer went up and killed this brother, or this, because this is happening all the time. This happens all the time in these hoods. It's just that because he was a rapper, this is noticed. It's put on blast. You know what I'm saying? It's put on TMZ. It's put on the internet. But this happens all of the time. You know, I think even Nas has said in one of his rhymes, Nas has said that even Dr. Dre told him, yo, when you come to LA, don't let them palm trees fool you. Be safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, be safe and stay strapped. Don't let that fool you. Like, you know what I'm saying? LA is dope. From what I hear, dope is a beautiful place to go to, but you got to know how to move. You can say the same thing that's in any hood. You can go to the hood that's in Oregon, it's in Portland. You still got to know how to move. You know what I'm saying? There's hoods that's in, I'm quite sure there's hoods that's in, it's in Vegas. You still got to know how to move. You got to know how to move, where to go to. They tell you that all the time. Whenever you want to take a cruise or something to Jamaica, they always tell you, yo, you got to know, go to the right places. But we got to take that same insight and do the same thing here. Because essentially what we're telling our own people is, yo, man, if you go to Jamaica, don't let your guards down. Don't go to the wrong places. Go somewhere where you know someone where they can actually take care of you. Well, we got to have that same mentality here if we want to visit different places and move to different areas. And we got to say, let's keep our guards up. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to help. We're still trying to pursue our liberation, but let's keep our guards up, completely up, and never let them down. So we suffer from that naivety, bro. And black people still have that in them to this day. That people bad, you know, as a good person, or as somebody who's just straight, because everybody's good in their own way of thinking. But we just think, you know, bad things don't come to good people because what goes around comes around. So we feel like we're putting out positive energy. So positivity comes back to me. But nobody ever prepares you for the day when trouble comes to you. You don't got to go to trouble. Trouble comes to you, and it comes to every individual on different levels. Unfortunately, like with brothers like this and other, you know, women and brothers that this queens and kings that this happens to on the earth, you know what I'm saying, it comes to them in the form of death, which is very unfortunate.
My bad. I was on mute talking. Man, you killing the game right there, man. What do you think? Let's speak to not just our naivete. I want to ask you, let's dive deep into this. I want to ask you about socialization. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I've met a lot of people that have been in gangs, but they're very, very intelligent. And they were socialized not to be a hater and socialized like, nah, that's goofy shit. We're not doing that. Could you speak to this generation and how it's a no holds bar now? You know what I mean? Like when you know, if you can post your location and somebody run up in a place of business and kill you in broad daylight in front of all those people, because that Roscoe's is always pretty crowded. Could you speak to the socialization and social engineering of this generation versus our generation? The good, the bad, the ugly.
I think one of the big differences is that there's no loyalty and there's no awareness. That is what it really comes down to. You had, and this is more so with our youth. Reason being is because that's not is what promoted. It's not what's being promoted in our movies. It's not being promoted. I mean, I'm saying this in the form of entertainment because our youth, unfortunately, they enjoy entertainment more than reading. You know, so uh, because loyalty and awareness is not being pushed in the form of music, movies, you know, any form of media, podcast, things like that. Because it's not being pushed real heavy on the large commercials scale, this is not what they're pushing out, you know. So what's being pushed out a lot is like a purge type of behavior, which takes us. It takes us. It proves that um, this Willie Lynch letter was not lying when it said that it would keep us separated for centuries to come, not even just decades, but for centuries to come. This would create a permanent uh, division amongst black people because we're always trying to fight each other to get something. And the engineering that came along with that was a process. It was a process, not something that happened overnight. This was an institution. That letter, as I often say, was an institution for white folks, but now it's trickled down to where we mimic the behavior of the white folks that was committing these heinous acts against our people. And we mimic it for so long, we develop ways of committing genocide against our own people, homicide, and um, all type of finessing schemes to take another person's life. If we can't find a way to take a person's life, or if there is no way, we'll find a way. And this is very unfortunate. Now you had this. We're back. You know, a couple of decades ago, where you had dudes like like I'm talking about as rappers. You had rappers like Heavy D and KRS One, Public Enemy, Moni Love, and all these dudes, NWA, where these dudes would actually get up and speak against. They rap against such type of behavior. This is why they made that, you know, self-destruction. That self-destruction song fits perfectly into your question because of the fact that they're saying, yo, listen, you're destroying yourself when you take another brother's life, when you take another sister's life, when you out here shooting aimlessly and don't even know how to aim because you never used a gun, and instead of hitting your target, you hit an innocent bystander that happens to be a 3-year-old, and in the head, you're destroying your own nation. You could tell people that before, and they have a listening ear, because not only along with the music, you had elders that were there, that was present around in that time, that took stands. So you had people like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, you had Dr. Ben, you had Dr. John Henrik Clark and Amos Wilson, you had Asa Hilliard, you had a whole bunch of elders who gave seminars and speeches and lectures on a weekly basis. This is missing from our community now. So along with no leadership, along with no loyalty and awareness, this is what we get. People just running up in a restaurant, cold blood, not even caring if there's children around. They take jewelry, and a couple of bucks. This is what it comes down to. Before, you could talk some sort of sense into them because there was a word going around. you know, books and knowledge was being spread. HBCUs, although I know a lot of them are named after white folks and stuff like that, but the fact of a lot of black folks were, you know, in these colleges trying to really get in a state of advancement for their people. You had consciousness and you had some sort of loyalty. You had people to keep you aware. Today, we still have leaders or elders, right? But um, but that's them very, very minority at this point. You see, like at what point do we take the mantle up just as just as a people, not worrying about following a leader, but just as a people? And this is why I said, Warren G, that we have to get into the business of exiling certain folks like this, because people like this, they don't want to be alone. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst thing a black person for black people. It's just a part of our culture. We want to feel like we belong. We want to belong to a tribe, gang, whatever, a tribe, a nation. Today we call them gangs and all that. We want to feel like we belong to a group. We want to. Nobody really wants to be alone as black people. So when you exile one of us, it hurts. It puts us in a state of vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? So we have to begin to place that hurt and say, yo, we're going to exile certain folks that commit these type of crimes. But we have to come together as a nation first. In order to do that, you can't do that without a nation. That's another part. You know, there was a time where you had black folks starting to proclaim themselves as a nation. Now, we didn't know which way we wanted to go. And I'm talking about like early 90s. We didn't know which way we wanted to go. We want to go to Afro-American, African, African-American, African Latina. We didn't know which way we wanted to go with the name, but we didn't know we wanted to be a nation, you know? And so we don't have that today. We just don't. We have a bunch of divisions and without proper leadership in each state, in each town to kind of regulate that. See, before decades ago, you had Black Panther chapters that was all in these different states, different cities, so they can regulate that and hold it down. Before that, you had the Nation of Islam, who was in different states, different cities, and they were able to hold it down. We don't have that now. We still got the Nation of Islam around. We still got Black Panther Party around, but they're not as relevant today as they were before. Like they weren't as heavy. They still have impacts. You still have the UNIA around today, but they don't have. It's not as impactful as it was when the Malcolm X was there, Marcus Garvey was there, when Elijah Muhammad and Fred Hampton was around. You know, when those people were around to lead that camp, it wasn't as effective as it was then. It's not as effective today. Again, I'm not saying that it's not, because you got people like Rizza Islam and stuff like that. You got other people that's really going at it and they really pulling folks together. But again, it's scattered. It's really scattered. And we still got to watch out for, I think Tariq Nasheed called them dusty dudes. We got to watch out for dusty dudes like this that really don't have an appreciation for black life and for the gangs. We understand that with gangs, bro, they first formed as a way of protection for us. We you know what I'm saying? Like, but we didn't call it a gang. The actual first type of mobster type of gang that we see today, that came from Europe. That came from those white folks. That came from the Vandals, in which the word vandalism came from. That came from them, a bunch of gangsters going around causing trouble. You know what I'm saying? But as far we formed more of a brotherhood, they gave us the word gang and we took it and ran with it. We formed brotherhood to protect ourselves because you had brothers out there in LA, brothers and sisters out there that was in LA, and you know, they were walking home from school and getting beat up on by these white folks. You know what I'm saying? Because contrary to belief, people, you know, black folks was being mistreated out there in the West Coast as well. So you had these, you know, you had them, they had to band together and say, yo, let's form some sort of brotherhood, sisterhood, and they got together. You know, and that's what it was based on. Brotherhood, sisterhood, we're going to keep this together. We're going to keep it tight. We're going to stand up for each other. They were basically the back in the day FBA before FBA was around. You know what I'm saying? And they formed it and they lived it. But then when we had, you know, we also had, you know, after a while we had the guns and things like that, but they placed us against each other like they normally do. And once they caused that division, here it goes. That Willie Lynch letter kicks in again, where that division is going to keep us divided for years to come. So therefore, it breaks up our loyalty. We're not loyal to our elders. We don't respect what they say. We're not loyal to our own people. We don't understand that, you know, when you kill one of us, you're killing all of us, a little part of it. They're not aware anymore because they're not looking around and saying, what can we do? What they don't see the potential that we have as a whole. They only see the potential that they have as one individual. I'm talking about black people. They only see the potential they has as one, the potential that they could have, what they could reach, the next person that they could get. That's what they see. That's what we see. So all in all, 100%, yes, there are a lot of gang members, a lot of OGs that would tell you. I spoke to one OG before. His name is Spanky. He was down with the Black Spades over here in New York, and you know he was a part of. Again, he was a part of Black Spades, and DJ King Mario. He was a part of the Black Spades as well. Those are, you know, brothers that was pioneers and started hip hop. And Spanky would tell you, he's a crackhead now, but Spanky would tell you, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? All that, you know what I'm saying? All that King of New York and the gangs in New York and all that, we wasn't doing all of that. It was all for brotherhood. That's what it was all about. It was all for brotherhood. Because when they was around, you had these Europeans that were still living there in the projects, and they was causing trouble with those blacks there. So they formed the Black Spades. You know what I'm saying? As a brotherhood to protect themselves. So the people who actually know, the OGs, the originals who actually know, they understand the history behind the gang. So therefore, they don't engage in that retarded type of behavior where you just cut and slicing dudes' faces and all that for no reason. That's stupid. They like, that's a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to get this money and build, but that's not how it goes. So we lost that. So again, the leadership, no loyalty, no self-awareness, no consciousness. We lost that sense of consciousness. And if we lost it, then our kids won't even have it. They don't have it and they won't see it.
Mm. You know what I was thinking? Now I want to get your perspective. Okay, now hear me out. Now we have um our generation, where the food was, you know, being put to kill us. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but you know, the 90s and the late 80s, it started to change where the food was starting to have the GMO. Would you say from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's perspective, because you know she breaks it down from a mental standpoint, a psychiatry standpoint, would you say that the food has a lot to do with our young generation's natural reaction to be a hater instead of just saying, hey man, I don't know how they got their shit, but I'm gonna go get mine. No, I'm gonna go get his stuff. Do you think the food has a play in it as well? Because you know, certain foods will have you pissed. Certain foods is worse than drugs. Certain foods will have you pissed. Certain foods will have you where it's an aphrodisiac, and then certain foods will have you depressed, angry. Would you be able to kind of speak to that? What do you think about that with the foods playing a big? Because you know, I don't know if you know who Vince Staples is, but he spoke to that about how food was so detrimental to his health. You know what I mean? His way of thinking. Do you think that is the cause of it as well, my brother?
I would definitely say so. Um, because as we have to understand that as melanated people, we can't have the same type of diet that these other race groups have. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it comes down to. So we got to eat foods that cater to our melanin. Our melanin releases all type of great, the endorphins in your body and everything, the mood swings and stuff. Yes, 100%. And also a depravity of the food as well. That has an impact as well, because if you want to eat healthy but can't get to it, you're going to, what do people normally do when they can't get it but they really want it? You know what I'm saying? And you know what? I don't want to say what people normally do, but I would say what dusty dudes, you know what I'm saying, like these criminal minded dudes. And I understand some people, they do what they got to do, but it's not always the right way to go about it. Still got to have a earnest living, especially amongst your folk. But yeah, most definitely, I definitely say it would have an impact again, because if we're eating processed foods and not foods from the earth, if we're eating a bunch of processed foods, you're gonna get what you're gonna what you get is what you're putting into your body. So if you're putting garbage into your body, you're gonna get garbage. You're gonna have that mentality. You're gonna have that your mental space won't be there. Being able to make good and bad choices, the ability to do these things, all depend on the foods that you eat and how you eat it. It depends on certain foods that you eat will give you depression because of the type of gases and things like that that it releases within you. So we have to be real mindful of that. So yes, absolutely. As melanated people, as the most melanated people here on the planet, we definitely have to be sure of what we're taking in, what we're eating, what we're drinking as well. And how much the consumption. So yes, I would definitely say that, brother.
Okay, we good. I appreciate that, my brother. I got some more questions. Um, my brother V, go ahead, man. Speak your piece on the subject matter.
Hi guys, what's up?
All right, so what you got to say, my brother?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's FBA?
Yeah, no, we're not doing that, man. My bad, David, man. Just go ahead, man. We're not doing that. We didn't explain FBA. That's not even the subject matter right now. You got all these trolls. I feel like the government is putting all these trolls out there because I remember that I read, this book that I read, and I know you read it too, Behold the Pale Horse, and how William Cooper was talking about how when he talked about his experience, the government started putting out trolls to counteract what he was saying. So I'm not even gonna uh, I'm not even going to entertain that. But my next question to you, David, is do you feel like a lot of the younger generation, they know that there's street politics and they got to check in, but they just choose to do what the hell they want to do? What do you think about that?
Wait, I asked that question again.
With this generation that we have, right? Right? Like, for instance, Ice-T came out and he said something that I totally agree with. And he mentioned names. Ice-T was like, you don't see Dre, Snoop, and The Game and all these West Coast rappers walking around the street going to these restaurants with all this jewelry on. He's like, because there's street politics out here. LA gang culture is different from every other city. And I ain't gonna lie, I've heard The Game talk about it, Snoop talk about it, Trey D, everybody, Vince Staples. LA gang culture is so different. So with that being said, and with social media being the most prevalent information, do you feel like this younger generation is kind of like they just want to be a habitual line crosser? I'm not making no excuse for the people that killed that young brother, but do you feel like even with Pop Smoke and all them, like, why are y'all not checking in with people? Why do y'all not have security? Why is it we just think that we're invisible? Why is that? Why is it that that young brother was like, well, basically, I ain't checking in. I'm just gonna go do what I want to do. I'm gonna post where I'm gonna post, and then I'm gonna get up out of there. Why is it this younger generation don't want to follow a lot of the rules, especially when it comes to street gang politics.
Joe, you know what? Again, it falls back on that being naive and taking it for granted where you are. As a matter of fact, you look at Martin Luther King, he was the same way. Like Martin Luther King, when he was in um, Memphis, Martin Luther King didn't want um, any armed security with him. As you know, the Nation of Islam was like, "Yo, we'll hold you down." He rejected that. You know what I'm saying? I always wonder what if Martin Luther King would have took heed to that. You know what I'm saying? Like the Nation of Islam at the time, they would have held him down. Definitely would have held him down. And what happened in Memphis wouldn't have happened. But again, we fall into the trap of it just can't happen to us because of the way that you perceive your perception. And our perception is that again, if as long as we're putting out that positive energy, people are going to give it back. So we put out love, they're going to show me love back. And a lot of the times, what's being put into the records too, Warren G, you got people in certain songs and all of that. You know, they would brag up, they would diss you, or they would try to show you up if you are walking around with security. They say that you scared. They say that you pet and all that stuff, right? They try to embarrass you. So they say that you're not real. So if you're real in the hip hop culture, then you will walk around without no security, things like that. So that's another part. I'm not saying this is what this brother did, PNB. I'm not saying that's what he thought he fed into that nonsense. But the fact is that he didn't come to LA. Well, prior to him coming to LA, he didn't check with someone like what Nas did with Dr. Dre. When Nas went to LA, before he went to LA, he checked with Dr. Dre. This is Nas said this. This is Nas saying. So we got to do that more often. Again, we got to make sure we have tour guides, kind of, when we're going to certain places. Because you may not get that respect, no matter how famous you are. You may not get that respect from someone in that city. Because once someone decides they're going to get you and you're their target, they're coming after you. And once they see that you're riding around with no security, and you're with your woman, so you're definitely vulnerable, they're gonna come after you. Plain and simple. And they don't, it doesn't matter. You saw a preacher get robbed in the church. Once people have you on the target, they got you. So you have to have some sort of, you have to follow the code. And it's the code that has to be followed. Yo, man, if you don't know this side of town, if you're not from this side of town, if you plan on being over here unannounced, don't post any pictures. Don't even put your location and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because you're now opening yourself up to be robbed, to be murdered, to be shot, to be stabbed, you know, to be beat down, assaulted, you know what I'm saying? To be bum rushed by media trying to see questions. You know, you're opening yourself up. But again, us as black people, again, we don't learn. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times, Ron G, we feel like because we got the money, it makes us powerful. It makes us feel like we can do this. It gives us that battery in our back that makes us feel like, well, you know what? I can step into someone else's hometown and everybody's going to show me love because I've been there before and people showed me love before. I haven't had any problems. So I can do it again. And they continue to do it again. You take a look at, like I said, Martin Luther King, he had been in Memphis a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? But his last time was his last time. Malcolm X, he been in New York a bunch of times. But his last time was his last time. You see, so you just take a look. Fred Hampton killed in his own bed. But obviously, we know that was, that wasn't anybody from the hood doing it. We know that he had someone from the inside from the hood who revealed the secrets and revealed the locations and time and everything like that to the Chicago Police Department. You know what I'm saying? But it's again, it's that thing, it's that situation that we have where we just feel naive. We just are naive as people, what I'm saying, as black people. Again, greatest strength, but also turns out to be our greatest weakness.
Mm. Mm. Okay, there was another question that I wanted to ask you before that dude jumped in our space, but there was another question. When you see that, how we kind of like, we don't respect boundaries and we don't take the political warfare. Like when you see that, do you feel like that was bad socialization, or do you feel like lack of knowledge, or do you feel like lack of nationhood? Because if you have a nationhood, you have a whole community. Somebody's gonna give you that game, and it's gonna stick. What do you feel like we're lacking? Because that could have been avoided. That brother, I'm not talking about them posting, but like you said, I got to speak to your point. Like Nip, that killer knew that the Nation of Islam wasn't up there to be his security. Because if the Nation of Islam would have been up there with Nip, Nip wouldn't have got killed. You know what I mean? So what do you think that is in us? What are we lacking when we're just kind of like, oh, well, it ain't that deep. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping. The politics ain't that bad. What is it that we're lacking? Is it the education? Is it the information? Is it a nationhood? What are we lacking to better ourselves when we're in situations like that?
Oh, I got to go off of nationhood. I have to go off of nationhood. If you don't have a nation, you are bound to you're bound to commit all type of heinous crimes against your own people. You are bound to be a traitor to your own kind. You have to establish a sense of nationhood, and you establish that along with loyalty and awareness. People, you got to have people around that's conscious, and I think that's one of the things that's missing. We don't have consciousness. Like, we have the information, it's all out there. People at this point can choose to accept or not or ignore. So it's there, and it's there at our fingertips. So even though we have elders who were around before and they're not around now, they've gone to be with the ancestors. They still left behind legacy. They have videos, they have books, they have lectures. They have children who are still passing on that information. They have other family members and friends who are continuing to pass on that information. So it's there. That's why it's up to us as black people to form our nation so that we can keep everyone informed. Everybody is informed. Everybody would be on one code. Everybody would be understood that this is what we don't do. Like, there's many things you can do and you can be forgiven by your nation. But this is one of the things we just don't do. You've betrayed your people, your nation, if you've done that. So we're lacking that. Along with nation, it comes love. A sense of love, man. You got to look at your brother and value your brother. You got to look at your sister and have value for them. But that starts with you valuing yourself. Dudes value they become jealous because they don't value themselves as much as they think. It may seem like, he is stealing from another man to get what he never had. So he got to place some sort of value within himself. He's actually not. Because again, you're taken away from your own nation. That's what we misunderstood and we misunderstand to this day. So I have to go off of nationhood. When you have your nation, you develop certain rules and constitution. You can have your own constitution, rules and laws, regulations. You can develop codes that people have to go by, you have to live by. It has to be a lifestyle. with no nationhood, then the people is going to perish. You know what I'm saying? And our children will be confused. They would be misinformed. It definitely would be misunderstood, but they will also misunderstand others within our nation, within our um, circle of people. You know, so I have to go off. We're lacking nationhood. We are also lacking within our nationhood. We're lacking the resources and the tools to it. If we had all had our money right, if we had our money the right way, it's no need for a dude to look at another fellow and say he's posting himself on a pit on this Instagram, wherever he posted himself at. He's location over. Oh, I'm only 15 minutes away from that. I'm already in that location. I need to get what he got. And I've seen how he move. He doesn't have security with him, and he's not as big as a rapper like a Dr. Dre, you know, a Nas, or someone like that. So he's not. He's rolling up in a place like that. I'm gonna try to get him. You know, I'm going to get him. We wouldn't have no need to steal from our fellow brother because we already have our money to go out and get it whenever we want to. So if you got your reparations, then you go out and get your chain if you want to go and get your chain. That's on you. I'm not going to do that. But if you want to go and get a $500 chain, $500,000 chain, well, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and buy it. But you won't feel that need to have to rob somebody for it because you already got it. It's too much work, right? I mean, when you got money like that, when you have wealth, you have the riches and you have the wealth. You really don't feel that need to go out and try to do dirty work because it's like, to be honest, I don't need to go that far to do that. I don't even have to leave my home to develop wealth. I just got to make a phone call. That's how we would look at it. So we would definitely need our our reparations within our nationhood. I think that changes a lot. People rob other people. They steal from other people and would take their life for meaningless things, meaningless items and materials because they don't have. See, Mansa Musa, he devastated the whole gold economy. Before, prior, gold was like platinum, bro. It was crazy. But because Mansa Musa had so much and walked and went around the world giving out so much gold, he gave gold to so many poor people. They became rich and they put it into their land and they became wealthy. So they were rich and wealthy. He helped build that up. So when you take a look at that, people didn't have a nag to go and try to rob and steal from other people to take their gold or to take their land or to take their animals or their herds because it's like everybody already have it. So we all got it. There ain't no reason for me to really go after you. I'll just move to another part of town and make my money over there. I'll buy more land and make my money over there. That's how it would be. You know, so I think we definitely have to tie that in, the economic part, along with our nationhood.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Look, I appreciate it. We're gonna definitely do a part two. We're gonna get more into the corporate plantation side and how those same rules apply to the street, but you gotta move different. I appreciate you coming on to this spaces, man. But I want to do another one. I don't know if I'm gonna have the time, man, because man, uh this see my shit, man. This I'm telling you, you are I would say a good luck charm. I don't know where you are, man, but ever since I supported your business, man, like mine's kind of been taken off a little bit too, and I'm very grateful for it. But you just don't know. I was so confident in supporting you because I felt proud. And the reason why I felt proud is because I felt like in my mind, I'm like, this dude needs to make clothes. I can't wait till you make clothes. Man, I'm telling you, you should put on a shirt too, bro. Uh, white folks respect materials and black folks respect relationships, or black folks value relationships and white folks value materials. That has stuck with me forever. And I cannot put that on the shirt because I want you to do it. And I'll pay you for it with your own design, man, because I believe in you more than you even know. You should know that. I think you would be a great clothing designer. I'm over wearing the polo and the Nautica and the Gucci and the Louis. I'm trying to have more value in my people, man. I'm trying to relearn who my people are is because we don't have that value in ourselves. That's why I interviewed my cousin Mariah. Shout out to my cousin, man. It was some stuff that she was telling me that kind of messed with me too. Cause like David, man, when I was around my cousin when she was doing that, when she was going to mortuary science school and doing and when she was working in the mortuary, she never told us she was struggling because that California, not the California mentality, but that mentality that melanated people have is we don't want people to see us struggle. We only want people to see us doing good. So it was very hard to hear that, and it was disheartening to listen to it. You know what I mean? But I really hope you venture off into the clothing too, man, because I'm gonna be the first person to support that, man. Because I really know you're gonna be big, and I'm happy that you have been taking out this time to do this space. Shout out to my brother Roy that's in here right now. But yeah, man, I just want to let you know I ain't gonna front on you, David, man. Ever since like the see my shit was moving because I don't promote it like that because that's another thing I want to talk to you too about. I want to do a part 2 with you and those sisters. I know the time constraint is different, but I really want to ask all y'all questions like on this spaces, man, because I can learn a lot from y'all. And you know, doing this business stuff, David, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I was frustrated for you because I know how talented you are and I know how much knowledge you have. And I just know what it is. Like I've been doing the CMOS thing for a minute. And you do have people that will support you, but then you have more people that just want to window shop and don't want to like support. And one of the main things that I've noticed is with melanated businesses, foundational Black American businesses, when other racial groups start messing with it, here come your people making a U-turn like, oh, I always knew you can do it. Now, I'm going to say it again before I get off this space. You know, I go back and check your page. Your page should have 10,000 views, bro. I bet you if you was on there, you know, fighting, you know, doing stuff that was catastrophic to our community, you'd have 100,000 views. But you're showing your natural raw talent. And it's just like, damn, man, that's why I did that. I didn't do that for clout. I did that because I wanted, when I got it, I didn't, David, you know, I didn't tell you I was going to do that on my live. You probably thought I was just going to get it and hang it up on my wall. No, I did that on purpose because people need to see what recycling Black dollars is. I feel like that is another reason why those dudes ran up on PNB Rock. We don't have that value in ourselves first. So once you start having that value, it took me a long time to get there, David. I'm not going to lie to you, my brother. It took me a long time. I felt like when I first started doing my podcast, with the exception of Nukenda, my homegirl Nuke, you know, my cousins and shit, but everybody else wasn't messing with it. And it bothered me because I knew, I'm like, bro, we can kill it out here in Vegas. But it taught me, once me and Nuke, we didn't have the same schedule no more, it taught me, Warren, this your vision, and woo woo. And then once I started, I ain't gonna lie, I just started getting to the fact where I was like, man, I ain't gonna do this shit no more. I ain't gonna. And then I met you. And then that's what made that turned around everything, man. When you was like, Warren G, man, you asking really good questions, bro. Like, so I'm just taking the time to let you know, man, you inspire me, bro. Because with the exception, let me tell you something. And I'm gonna tell you this, and then I'm gonna end mine. Man, if I wanted to do a podcast with my family, I'd have been over here in a minute. But I'm not going to prostitute the integrity of my family. Because sometimes we was Drink Champs before Drink Champs, David. If I showed you videos at my mom's crib in 2010, 11, and 12, you'd be like, yeah, Warren G, y'all would have made some money. But I didn't do that because I didn't want to prostitute the integrity of my family for views and viewership. I didn't want to do that. So that's why I feel like now that I'm watching your podcast and I see, and I'm like, damn, this nigga should have like 10,000 views because he's saying real stuff. Like, he's saying real stuff. He's saying real stuff. So, but I'm just telling you, I appreciate you, my brother. And once I got that painting, I ain't gonna lie. Once I purchased it from you, my brother, you don't know how many text messages I was getting just for the CMOS. It blew. It wasn't like that. It was busy, but it wasn't like that. Once I purchased that paint from you, bro, I'm telling you, I was getting text message after text message. Like, boom, hey, let me get 2 jars. Let me get 3. I'm like, damn, that teachings of Dr. Claude Anderson, that shit is real, bro. It's real. Because it happened to me with you. I purchased it because I like the painting. Once we purchased it and you was like, all right, Warren G, I got you. I'm telling you, like 2 hours later, people was all in my text messages hitting me up. And I appreciate it. Because I'm learning the ropes and learning it. Like, besides like my family and people that I know, you know, I appreciate them. But it's funny, man, because when you're dealing with black folk you don't know, and you're trying to get them to patronize your business, no matter what it is, man, they treat you like shit. But like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, man, our people are hard people to love, but I love them anyway. And I appreciate you. And I mean this, David, man. If you can ever get with them sisters and we can get on a space, because I know you interviewed them, but I want to interview all 3 of y'all because y'all all business owners. And y'all have way more skin in the game than me. So I want to get y'all perspective. And don't worry, I'm not going to do no shiesty questions. I just want to get y'all real, honest opinion, but, you know, in a corporate way of like the do's and the don'ts and stuff like that. I really want to do it, man, because I want people to hear it, man, because when I be saying it, people be thinking that I'm tripping. You know what I mean? People be like, oh, Warren, you just mad because no, it ain't that. I see people not support other business like yours. Like, I feel like people should have been on your bumper. You know, I shouldn't have had to do that. I bet you if I'd have got Nas or somebody else, you'd be like, hey, man, can you speak on my bro's painting? Then there'd been 1,000 niggas going to go get a painting, but it should not be that way. White people make millionaires out of white people every fucking day. Nobody says nothing, bro. But black folk, we only want to make a millionaire when we can watch and track their dollars. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay because I know my painting that I got from you, that shit gonna be worth millions. So I ain't worried about it. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody listening, subscribing, and to our spaces. And David, man, we got to do this again. I probably ain't gonna have the time this weekend because I'm gonna be like super busy making the CMOS and shit. But maybe we could squeeze one in Saturday, maybe Saturday or Sunday or whenever you free. Just get at me, my brother. And Roy, man, next time we got to get you on it too, man. Because look, the reason why I got to cut it short is because I got to go take some CMOS to somebody right now. But I appreciate y'all. David, man, love, live life. Go check out No Compromise podcast. You know what I'm saying? And my brother, stay focused. And remember, man, you are the beacon of hope and light to niggas like me. So I know, you know, they're going to have your times where you get down, but I look to you for how you move, bro, because I'm entering a whole nother space. You have to understand this. Before I land this plane, I grew up coaching. They didn't teach us about entrepreneurialism. They taught us about go to school and get a job. And so you go to church, pay your tithes, you go to heaven. And it's no diss to them. But me now knowing, no, I needed way more than go to school and get a good job. So I appreciate you, my brother. Until the next time, you got my number, man. Whenever you got some free time, we can do a quick 30-minute spaces. Just let me know, my brother.
No doubt, bro. I'm definitely, I definitely appreciate that, man. I appreciate you, and yeah, I'm glad it's taken off, man. Because you know what, I want to do another podcast with you, man. And which I've developed over time a bunch of questions for you, and I would love for you to explain life insurance, Why is that so important? I would love for you to explain and talk about the CMOS, because a lot of people don't understand too much about the CMOS. Me myself, so I would like to know more, and I think other people need to know more. And also just your stance on the whole on FBA. The whole FBA movement, not like what this clown was trying to come in and produce, not hatred, but basically not any division, but just how you see it and how it's pretty much changed your life. So I have a whole bunch. I can definitely get, with my sisters. I know that they was all saying, like, I know Rhoda, she told me off the cup. That's the one you bought the cup from, the glass from, and she was like, yeah, he a real one. I was like, yeah, he be up on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let him know where the black business is at, and he gonna be up on it ASAP. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, he's up on it. And she was like, yeah, she agreed. We was going back and forth with it, like, yo, just tell this dude where the black business is at, and he gonna go and get it like the same day. He gonna support. He not a game. He talk what he says, what he means, and he lives it. So actually, it's a lifestyle to him. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah. So I'm definitely going to get back on that wave and of having these podcasts, man. But I definitely want to get you on there and just I got a couple of questions, man. I wanted to do like at least like a 45-minute joint and just bomb you with questions, man, because it's like I developed that over time. And again, I appreciate you, man. I'm glad that your business is kicking off and stuff like that. And I just want to be I definitely want to be educated more on the CMOS. Because I didn't hear about it until I heard Dr. CB talk about it, and I also heard Dr. Lelia Africa talk about it. So prior to that, I've never ever heard it. I don't know what it was, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. If then actually I heard my wife talk about it too. She's another one that I definitely want to get you on with her too, and then we can do it, man. And I'll just put it on, and you just ask a question or you just talk, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, man. So yeah, it's going to try to definitely get it back popping and stuff like that again, man. Get it going and stuff. I can be a lot more consistent and everything now. So yeah, man. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to everybody that support too, man. I really appreciate it, and it's very well recognized, it's very well loved, man. And again, that's what it's about: recycling the black dollar, like you said, because it goes into another person's hand, and you don't know. Like I would say this, bro, and I'll leave it alone. You don't know what you're doing when you are participating in recycling the black dollar. Like you don't understand. Like that person could be living from paycheck to paycheck, or they could be living on the edge. And what you do has provided for their household, or that person can just be trying to move up another level within their entrepreneurship, and what you provide it steps them it helps them step their game up to another level. So you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you think you purchasing something, but it really comes out to be a really great help. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to go ahead, and I'm taking heed to what you're saying. I'm going to go ahead and patent that image, and I'm going to try to continue on with it as long as I can. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, because everything is going to be hand painted. You know what I'm saying? I can go to the print shop and just get a whole bunch of them printed out, but I feel I feel as though everybody will be receiving the same thing. I want them to have different feels to it. You know what I'm saying? So it may be the same image, but the coloring and everything to it, the layers and everything would be different for everybody because it's hand. I don't even know where I'm going with it when I start half of the time. I just go with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you helping out, because in all honesty, you the first one to purchase it. You was the very first one to purchase a painting, and other people have shown interest, but you're the first one to purchase it. I'm talking about within days. So it wasn't a game for you. So I appreciate that, man. That really helps out, and that it's a great thing. So I appreciate you, brother. Definitely, definitely.
Oh, no problem, bro. You already know, man. Set it up. I was already thinking about it. I'm like, man, I want to. I like being on your podcast, man, because like you've done so much for mine. Just letting me interview you, let me post it. Like me and my cousin Mariah, we was talking about it again. Shout out to my cousin Mariah, even my sister. And she was just like, Warren, you be tripping me out about how detailed those questions be. And I'm like, well, I told her, I was like, I didn't even think a nigga was asking the questions until he told me, like, hey, bro, you asking me some good questions. Cause I always wanted to be like that, but you kind of gave me that confidence. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. And hey, set it up. Whenever you need me to do your podcast, all you got to do is text me, my brother. I don't care what day it is. I will carve out time. Like I'm gonna probably be a little late getting to the homie because she wants to see my, but they know that I'll be interviewing and doing my podcast and stuff like that. And I like this. This is busy work. You have to understand, Dave. Like I told you before, I wasn't socialized to be an entrepreneur and do that. I was socialized like right now. I'd be at a second job, bro. If I was working early, that would just give me time to get off to go to another job. So this is the first time in my life where I'm like, man, I'm not doing that second job shit. I'm tired. I'm burnt out, and I want to get out my frustrations another way. So I appreciate you. And whenever you need me to do your podcast, send me the link because the way your shit is set up is tight. Like your shit is legit. I don't care what nobody say. I remember last time I was on your podcast, you know, man, it was dynamic. So just hit me up. You got my number. Let me know. And you ain't got to let me know days in advance. You can just let me know that day. Like, hey, Warren G, hey, man, I'm going to need you on this one. I got you. Don't trip. And what I liked about your podcast, too, was it sharpened my skills on not using foul language and not doing that because people don't think I can do that. You know, a lot of people think, oh, Warren just cuss, but I know how to articulate my words. So just hit me up, my brother. Whenever you need me to do that podcast, hit me up and we gonna do it. And I'm gonna give you all the games that I know and we can go from there. All right?
Definitely. That'll be soon, brother. Definitely. I'm setting it up.
Okay. All right, man. You be safe. Hey, stay in your lane. Love, live life, man. Value who you are because I value who you are and I value me. Until the next time, my brother.
One love. One love.
All right. Peace.